Thank you. As I said, this is David Johnson with the Wyoming Broadband Office, and we are here today for our sixth of 7 webinars. Today's focus will be the BEAD application system, the actual portal itself, and how the portal will be utilized to manage the application process. Julie Park will be delivering that. And also William Baghetti is here from Lightbox to talk about the mapping application as well. So thank you all for joining today. And with that, I will turn it over to Julie.
Thank you, David. Hi, folks. So quick overview of the agenda for today. First up, we've got the application resources that'll help you complete the application, and then I'll walk you through the application submission and the portal itself. We'll have a quick overview on the broadband map data and the mapping tool from William, and then we'll get back into the application revision process, what that'll look like, and we've got time dedicated at the end for a Q&A, so feel free to submit your questions to the Q&A chat box throughout the webinar, and then we can reference those at the end. So first, the resources, and this is very similar to the pre-qualification application that most of you have completed. I just want to highlight these and help you navigate, which ones are critical, I think, to completing and submitting a good application. So first is the initial proposal volume 2, or IPv2. This is what Wyoming submitted to NTIA, and it has guided the development of this grant application, the program itself, and the questions and requirements. So I will always recommend referencing IPv2. Next, we have the subgrantee application guide. This was uploaded on Friday to the WBO website, and this provides additional guidance on how to navigate the portal, answer the questions, and generally just complete an application. So a lot of what we discussed today is covered in the application guide. Next, the broadband map guide. This will provide instructions on the mapping tool itself and how to download data and just navigating the tool overall. This has not been published just yet to the WBO website. It's being finalized along with the tool, but it will provide a comprehensive overview on how you should navigate the mapping tool. Next, we have the templates. Similar to pre-qualification, there are some questions that are quite broad and need to capture lots of information, and it's helpful to be able to review that in a standardized format. So these templates are available on the WBO website. And as you work your way through the application, you'll be told explicitly which ones need to be completed and uploaded for that specific question. If you would like additional guidance on how to best fill out the templates, I'd like to refer to the webinar recording that is on the WBO website, where my colleague Mitch Herget walked through the technical requirements and how to fill out the templates and what kind of information is going to be reviewed. And then next we have the benchmark spreadsheet, which I believe is also now on the WBO website. I'll go into this one in a little bit more detail shortly, but this has all of the data per project area unit, and all of those PAUs will comprise the project area. And then next, the WBO website, I keep referencing it. It's going to have all of the template documents and materials for the application, along with any updates, and it's just, the best resource on everything BEAD for Wyoming. And then finally, we have the email for the broadband office. This is where I recommend you should submit any programmatic and technical questions you have. Personal emails, to WBO staff may not all be captured. And the great thing about this email is that we can aggregate and synthesize the different questions that come in from applicants and release responses in the FAQ document so that everyone has access to the same guidance. So I highly, highly recommend any questions you have to be submitted to this email. So next is the benchmark spreadsheet. This will serve as a great reference of the PAUs as you develop your project areas. I've taken a small screenshot of the spreadsheet itself. And just wanted to do a quick walkthrough if you haven't already gone to the website and started looking through the data, but we've categorized it so you can see the PAU ID and then the CBG that it's a part of, the reference price per PAU, the number of unserved and underserved BSLs, and the total number of eligible locations in the PAU. Within the additional BEAD scoring criteria columns, you'll see that we've got the local and tribal government and the natural hazard risk mitigation. These are related to certain scoring criteria where an applicant can provide letters of support from the relevant jurisdictions or municipalities in their project area. And so it identifies who or which jurisdiction has the most BSLs. So it's a guide for you on who to solicit a letter of support from. And then for the natural hazard risk mitigation, in this example, none of these PAUs happen to be classified as high risk, but if it were to say high risk, you would know that the project area includes high risk PAU and that an additional narrative is going to be required as part of the scoring criteria. Next, the NTIA high cost designation. It'll just say high cost area if the NTIA has classified it as being high cost, and that is relevant to the match that is or isn't required for your project area. So it'll just help you figure out the match required for the overall project. And then finally, the tribal areas, it'll just have a yes if it does include tribal area in the PAU. So that will play a part in some of the compliance questions on if your project will be on tribal land. Then next, just something I wanted to note quickly, because the portal is going to be the same link where you submitted your pre-qualification applications. And it will have this view on your landing page when you log in. I just wanted to note, it should say approved. When you're going in as a pre-qualified applicant to submit the subgrantee applications or the scoring applications, you have to see that approved status in this progress bar. And for some reason, if you are pre-qualified and it's just not showing and that's not allowing you to submit, please reach out to WBO, and that should be a quick fix. But I just wanted to note that because the application is going to be hosted in the same environment as the pre-qualification application. Next, I'll move on to the application submission. It's going to be a very similar experience to pre-qual, but I just want to highlight some of the differences that will make it a new experience. So for the scoring or subgrantee application phase, you'll have a tab that says BEAD scoring. And when you click on it from the homepage, you'll be able to see a table. And this is an example with some test applications. But because this phase allows for multiple applications, whether you're submitting different application types of priority, non-priority, or alternative technology, or maybe you're just submitting multiple of the same type with different technologies, this table is going to show you the status of each application, the type of project, so priority, non-priority, or alternative technology, and the status. That's something I want to note, that you shouldn't be worried that if you submit one application, it'll submit all of them. You can go through, and some can be a draft, some can already have been submitted. And for every new one you would like to create, you would just click on the Create New BEAD Scoring button. And the process for creating these new applications is also covered in the application guide, but I just wanted to give you a preview of how the user view is going to change a little bit with this scoring application. Moving on, I think the most critical difference is the ability to complete the sections. So during pre-qual, you were able to go through in non-sequential order. So you could complete section 1 and then 7 and 5. In this case, you must complete them in sequential order. There is a bit of a workaround, and I'll teach you how to do that in a moment, but the reason that it must be completed in sequential order in this case is the portal has been configured to support dynamic validation. And that's just going to make the overall process easier for you. So just something I want to note. And while the workaround can be done to either skip forward to sections that you'd like to complete first, or maybe you would like to navigate backwards after having completed something, but you want to go back and change. The only section that I really recommend completing properly the first time would be section 1. And the reason for that is section 1 is the administrative portion where we're capturing the project name, the project type, and the technology. And these questions will impact the skip logic or the branching logic for subsequent questions. So if you are selecting a certain technology type like LEO satellite, you will see a certain set of questions later on in the application. Alternatively, if you were to only select fiber, your questions might be a bit different. So section 1 is very important to get right on the first time. And if you look at these examples on the left, we've got the priority application that's been selected for question 1.2, and the only technology type that you see for question 1.4 is fiber, because priority applications must be end-to-end fiber. Alternatively, for the alternative technology application type, there's a longer list of technologies available. And so it's just important to make sure that you're selecting the proper project type and technology types in section 1. But let me show you this workaround for skipping ahead or backwards if you need, because sometimes you're going to want to complete section 4 or 5 before you do section 2 or 3. And so with the dynamic validation, every field is going to be required once you've landed on that page. So in this scenario, I've completed section 1 and I've clicked save and proceed, and now I'm on section 2. But let's say I want to go back to section 1 because I clicked the wrong technology types. I can't go back to section 1 because I'm now on the page for section 2 and there are required fields and they're going to flash red and require that valid input. And so the workaround is providing placeholder or dummy answers so that the requirement is met. There's something in the field or something has been uploaded to meet that threshold, but it doesn't have to be a real answer. The only note that when you're providing these placeholder answers is that it still needs to meet the question's validation requirement. So if it's asking for a number, you can't type in words or some fake Latin. It still needs to be a number. Or if it's asking for a file, you would still need to upload a correctly named file of the correct file type, but it doesn't actually need to be the real file. It could just be an empty version of a PDF or a Word. And so when you're going forward, so let's say you want to skip ahead to section 3 in this case, complete all of the required fields and then save and proceed, and you would go to section 3 immediately. If you want to go backwards, do not click on save and proceed. You would just click on the section 1 button, that arrow, part of the bar at the top. And because everything's automatically validating, it saves your placeholder answers in section 2, and then you could go back to section 1. These instructions on how you do this, skipping workaround are also detailed in the application guide. Just wanted to give a little bit of a visual walkthrough. And with the dynamic validation, your document uploads are going to be the same, and the validation happens at the point of the upload. In this case, just like prequal, you will have examples or not examples, you'll have a guide in Appendix A that lists all of the required file names for each question. And then as you work your way through the guide, every question that requires a file will also tell you in the instructional content what your file type needs to be along with the name. One question that we got in the prequel round that I'd like to go ahead and answer is, can we add additional language to the file name or a number? Because you might want to put your company name or the version history for some internal tracking. Yes, you can add additional text. I would recommend that you add a hyphen or an underscore between that new text and the content that's required for the file name, just to be safe, but you can absolutely add text like your company name or the version number if you'd like. And so what this is going to look like in terms of it being dynamically validated for each question is here for question 4.1, it's asking for a technical narrative as a PDF. And you'll see the uploaded files shows that a PDF titled with 4-1-technical-narrative has been uploaded. Unlike in prequel, where you had to navigate forwards to see if all of your files were uploaded properly, it now tells you for each question what you have uploaded. So if you've maybe uploaded the incorrect version of the file, you can easily delete that. If you find that you would like to rename it, you can also delete and just rename and then upload as necessary. Obviously, it won't be able to be uploaded if you've named it incorrectly, but in this case, if I wanted to add my company name, I would just delete this file, rename the file, and then upload it. So we're hoping that it makes your lives a lot easier as you upload the files for this. It is a more complicated and I'd say lengthy application than pre-qualification, and there are quite a few technical templates and files that are required for this. So we're hoping that this dynamic validation for each question reduces the burden on the applicants. And then finally, the signature is going to be the exact same process as pre-qualification. Once you've completed all 9 sections, you'll navigate to the certification page. The authorized certifying official will put their title in and draw in the signature. Click save and submit. There is a clear button if you would like to redo your signature, but it's all right if it's a little sloppy. And now I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to hand it over to William, and he'll walk you through the broadband map data briefly. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Julie. So I'll give a quick update on the broadband mapping. So as you see here, we have a mock-up version of some of the changes that will be represented in the map for this go around. The final map will not appear exactly as this, but I'll talk through this in a little bit. So for the broadband mapping this year, users can access the map the same as they have done before. If you have a valid link, once the maps are published, you'll be able to access that same link using your same credentials as previously. If you do not have access to the map, either you're a first-time user or you've potentially lost your credentials, you can reach out to the Wyoming Broadband Office team, and they can get you set up with access to the map. One change for this year, I'm sure as you're all aware, is that we're moving in the direction of using the project area units. So previously the map allowed you to draw circles around the data to download and extract data from the map. For this year, that will not be supported. For this year, you will only be able to access and download data from the map by selecting a project area unit and downloading it from the map by project area unit. One of the items on the maps that you'll see here in terms of the mock-up that we provided is that in terms of symbology, each project area unit will be colored, have a specific color, a unique color for the specific project area. Any project area unit that is a singular location will appear in a larger square on the map. So you can see the two squares to the right of the map are a good representation of this, where you can see they are sort of singular standalone squares from the cluster of smaller squares to the left of the map. That is just to indicate that it is a single location for that project area unit. And as always, if you have any technical questions, you can reach out to the Wyoming Broadband Office team. They can assist you directly, or we will partner with them to help resolve any questions about the mapping. We are still looking to target the 21st to have the map to be live and available to everybody. Thank you. Back to you, Julie.
Thanks, William.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're just going to do an overview of the application revision process. It is going to differ from pre-qualification as the components of the application are different. There will be more opportunities for revision. The first I'd like to make you aware of will be the completeness revision. There are some materials and responses submitted with the scoring application that are critical to the application moving forward to the next stage of review. So if anything is flagged initially as being insufficient or maybe something is missing, the applicants are going to be contacted and you'll be given time to quickly turn that around so that we can move this application to the next stage, whether it's scoring or the more detailed technical review. Next will be the scoring validation. This is going to be specific to section 3, which is the scoring criteria section. If there are discrepancies between what the calculated score was versus the validated materials, whether that was submitted by the applicant or a reference maybe through the pre-qual materials, the applicants will be given 5 business days to resubmit requested materials to make sure that the application's contents align with the calculated score, as the score does play a part in determining the overall negotiation process. And then the third opportunity for curing will be the non-scored materials. There are other sections in the application that aren't a part of the actual score that's calculated. This could be the technical requirements or the compliance section. If anything needs to be revised during the program, whether it's after the technical review or after negotiations, applicants will be given another opportunity to resubmit the requested materials. And then finally, I would just like to make you aware of some important dates to be looking forward to for the application phase. So on October 11th, the application materials were released, and this was this past Friday, and the application is set to open on October 21st. The next and final webinar that is planned is going to be on November 4th. I'm really hoping that folks have started an application then and bring their questions to that webinar. It's a great opportunity to have questions answered as you work your way through the application. And of course, you can submit questions to the email and get them answered in the FAQ, but I just want to highlight that November 4th, there will be an opportunity for the Q&A webinar. And the application close date is currently set to December 5th, but I would like to add the caveat that it may change if finalized results from the challenge process aren't approved. WBO would like to give all subgrantee applicants sufficient time to complete the application with the latest data. So there is a possibility that December 5th will not be the application close date, and it could be pushed back. But for right now, please note that November 5th will be when all applications are going to be due. And then once the window has closed, the application revisions will begin. And if any revisions are needed, the applicants will hear from the broadband office. And now we have time for Q&As, but before we get into that, I just want to note the last slide of the presentation. It does have all of the dates and topics that have been covered so far in the webinars. So the recordings are available on the WBO website, and I would really recommend going back and referencing. So if you want to confirm which date or topic you need to go and look at, the last slide of this webinar presentation will have that listed. And again, November 4th is going to be the Q&A session that is scheduled. But to go back, I see a couple questions have come through in Q&A, David.
Yeah, thank you, Julie and William. Very helpful. I appreciate you putting the slides together to help these folks efficiently get through the portal when it's time for application opening. So just to go through the questions, again, if you have additional questions, please type those in the Q&A. Just a few that we've received already. If an area or parts of an area get funded by the USDA Reconnect funding, will those locations that would have been deemed fundable be removed from BEAD? The question is really a good one, and appreciate that. Yes is the answer, and we will publish those locations upon notification or certification that those grants had been done. There is the possibility also of some additional CPF grants under the Connect Wyoming program as we move through the end of the year. So those locations would also be published, or any other programs that grant funding that would be enforceable commitments between now and the time the final proposal is submitted to NTIA. Those locations then would be deemed ineligible, and those will be published as we move along. Next question is, when will the maps be available? I understood preliminary maps would be available for preview 7 days before the application portal. That is just not possible, just because of the amount of time it takes to build the maps based on the project area unit. So as William indicated earlier, October 21st upon application opening is our goal, but we will keep you all informed as to the progress of the actual map being published and made available on the website. In the meantime, as Julie indicated, we've provided all of the data. So all of the eligible location data, all the project area unit identifiers and benchmark pricing are now available on the BEAD landing page that Rebecca put into the chat. And then lastly, are multiple applications allowed? The answer to that is yes. And you can combine project area units into an application. You can apply for them individually. That is better detailed in the September 23rd webinar. So I would encourage you to listen to that webinar as well. So let's see. I think that we've answered all of the current questions that were in the Q&A. Let's see. Again, where is the PAU detail? It is listed in the website. So Julie, you want to go ahead and answer that?
Yes, the PAU details are in the benchmark spreadsheet, and I believe that Rebecca had responded with a link to that, and we'll drop it again in the chat for everyone to access. But the spreadsheet will have all of the details per PAU, like the reference cost, if it overlaps with tribal area, number of BSLs.
Let's see.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah, we'll just give it a couple of more minutes. If anybody would like to answer another question, please put it into the Q&A. Just a couple of reminders, as Julie put out as well, that the next webinar will be on November 4th, which will be obviously after the opening of the application phase. So we'll take that opportunity to answer any questions live that you may have about the portal itself or about any of the data. I've asked Lightbox to come on to that call as well to answer any questions about the mapping and downloading information from the map as well. So they will be available on November 4th for that portion. So. Julie, I'm not seeing any additional questions. So with that, do you have any closing remarks?
No, I think we've covered everything. Thank you, everyone. Please, if you have any questions that you think of afterwards, feel free to submit them to the email and we'll follow up in the FAQ document.
And with that, thank you all for joining today. Appreciate your participation. Have a good afternoon.